Welcome back to another episode of the Weekday Saints podcast. I'm LaQuisha Ewing here with my co-host, friend, and brother, Jonathan Ingram. And we have an amazing guest for you today. None other than the oatmeal experience extraordinaire himself, Mr. Ian Sully Sullivan.
Yeah, I'm super excited for you to hear this episode because you did a really accurate intro, but there was so much more to his story, not just in his personal life, but in his vocational journey and the things God's called him to do vocationally. But there were some definite themes that popped up and what it meant for him to trust God and all the things he's called to do.
Listen, you all are in for a treat. Ian Sully Sullivan.
Sully Sullivan.
Yes, sir. That's me.
Ian Sully Sullivan.
Yeah,
We're going to go with Sully though today.
It's a tongue twister. Everybody's like, what's your name? Sully. What's your last name? Sullivan. I'm like,
I love it.
I got to explain it.
No, we're all about it. Thank you so much for making time to be on the Weekday Saints podcast.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me. I'm excited.
Man, we are honored to have you.
Two of the greatest people I know. For
Local celebrity.
Yeah, local. So yeah, small town guy with big dreams.
That's
sure.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, tell us about yourself, Sully. Are you from Chattanooga?
So,
about your journey.
So I am West Coast born, East Coast raised.
Oh,
I was
wow.
born in San Diego, California. And then we moved to Memphis for a little bit. My father died when I was 5. Yeah, shout out to the 901. I knew you would like that. Father died when I was 5, and then we landed in Chattanooga when I was 6. So almost 30 years. I'll be 35 this year. So yeah, almost 30 years in Chattanooga. So this is home.
So yeah, you've been here for a while.
Yeah, right. It was a little weird at first. I felt like I stood out because everybody was related here. That was the biggest thing, and it's still that way. Like everybody's cousins. I'm just standing here like I got 2 brothers, and that's it. And I got an older cousin that graduated when we moved here. They both graduated high school in '97. But so I was just like, and everybody played little league sports together. I didn't play any sports until I got to middle school, so it was just like a new starting everything all the way over. So, but I have friends that I've had since '96, since I moved here, so it worked out, and I grew to love Chattanooga.
Well, I know you well enough to know this is a loaded question.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you do for work? What is your occupation?
Yeah, so on paper, I say on paper,
Nerves.
yeah. I need to change my title to vibe coordinator, but currently I work
Love it.
I work in the school system as a ISS monitor.
Yeah.
At a local school called Norman Park. And then outside of, I say on paper because my entrepreneurship, I run a catering business, the Oatmeal Experience, formerly known as the food truck, but we do catering now. And then have my own clothing line, which I'm wearing today. So
Hey.
Never Accept Less is my clothing line, and we funnel. I say it's the WWJD of lifestyle, right? What would Jesus do? But like when you put this Never Accept Less on, I want you to feel like no one can stop you, right? Unstoppable feet when you're wearing it. We had wristbands, hats, clothing items as well too. But we just want you to know, like, no matter what you're going through, no matter who you are in a relationship, work, that you have leverage, right? It's all about you. And then I also do some personal training, and I am a runner now since the pandemic. So 5 years in the running, and we're doing good. So, yep.
Wow.
So that's a quite a list
Yeah.
of talents, but I see the thread between all of it. You like to be in spaces that may look difficult to other people.
Mhm.
When I first saw your brand title, I didn't know. I was trying to pronounce it. I was like, no,
Oh, yeah. Nah.
nah.
Trying to put that,
Yeah, I was
so that Memphis on it.
I was trying to make NAL say something.
Yeah.
But the message itself speaks life, right? So
Right.
never accept less. And then tying that, the empowerment that would come in your role as an in-school suspension coordinator.
It's been
You can sow that seed in so many kids.
Yeah.
So like, talk to me about that connection. These things that look separate really are aligned because it's who you are. So talk
Right.
to us a little bit about that.
So in order to get there, I want to take a few steps back. Like for the past 3 or 4 years, my heart has been driven to how can we empower kids in the community. Specifically kids that look like me, but also kids that don't look like me as well too. So what does that look like? So if I'm in a inner city community, giving those kids hope. And I used to tell all those kids, like, I understand you, different struggles, different situations, same struggle. That's all I always tell them. Your dad's not home. My dad died when I was 5. You know, my dad died in a car accident. Your dad died to street crime. Different situation. But I didn't realize until I was 29 that I needed a dad. Right? I was a dad at the time. I flew over to the Philippines for a month. I was the same age I'm gonna try to say this without choking up. I was the same age my dad was when he died, and my son was the same age I was when I died. When he died.
Wow.
So just a whole spiritual shift, just thinking about like every day I gotta make it home to my son.
Yeah.
So fast forward up to June of last year, I actually got fired from my corporate America job. But I was going through the motions. I didn't have any drive for the past 3 years. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I had opportunities with some of the other local leaders to be around kids. My oatmeal business, it was the dopest thing for kids to be like, I don't eat oatmeal, but this cinnamon swirl is good, right? The red velvet is good. So I started getting energized by that. And fast forward, I'm dropped into Normal Park, which is a great community school. It's a zone magnet school, so we have kids that are zone there and the kids that are bust in, right? So I see all different types of lifestyle, kids coming from different areas, and I just took what I've learned over the years from working in retail, working in corporate America. Is like, how can I lead these kids in a way that they know that it's genuine, that is consistent, and that is faith based without saying like let's stand here, huddle and pray, right? So every day I have a mirror in my room. I pray in, I pray out at the end of the day. I ask God to, these kids are in my hand at this point. Give me the words to just get one, right? And I've just been building relationships through fashion, through fun. Like I go in, I play basketball with the kids, I do cartwheels in classrooms, whatever I can do that it won't get me in trouble. And just being able to connect with the kids, and I'm really at peace right now in a good space. From coming from losing a job, losing two incomes, right? So I spoke about I have a food truck. I sold the food truck. That was an income cut. A month later, I lost my job. So for 3 or 4 months, I just had to figure it out and rely on my hustle mentality, my entrepreneurship. But I landed this job, and it's been great. It's been very gratifying every day.
I think one of the things that's just standing out in your story is your heart for people.
Yeah.
Like, and your heart for people is not just coming through you working only like for a nonprofit or at a church, but your heart for people is coming in way you serve food,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
clothing line, and then dancing around in a school
So
setting,
every day,
right?
some here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you talk about that. This is all undergirded by prayer.
Yeah.
Um, where did you get the heart for praying? Like, where did that come in? Where you knew that was an important part to what it meant to undergird the things you feel passionate
Yeah.
about?
So I saw my mom endure, everything from losing her husband, foreclosed on the house my senior in high, junior, senior in high school, to being in pain every day from fibromyalgia, other ailments. Like to this day, my mom turned 60 last year. It was just a blessing just to see that she was able to do it. But she kept us in church, and I spoke about this on my Facebook. I was listening to, going through everything I went through last year. I would play since I was at home, I with the kids, but I'm playing like Pastor Mike Jr. from Rock City Church. I'm playing Pastor Philip Mitchell from 2819 loud on the TV, not knowing that my kids were listening, right? And then my son asked me one day, because they're two different pastors. My son asked me one day, "Is this the pastor that scream and holler a lot?" And I was like,
Know which one?
"Nah, it's not. It's not him. But it's gonna be probably calm today." He was like, "Oh, okay." But to see that he was listening, then it just turned the knob to me. I was like, my mom played Kurt Franklin
Hmm.
to the top of we had a 2-story house, but we can hear it from the bottom. She played it without knowing, just so we can get it inside of us
Yeah.
every day, right? My mom didn't, to this day, my mom, if she cuss, she say sorry, right? Like, I probably heard that lady cuss 2 times in my whole life. So I got to give all the credit to my mom, just keeping me faith-based. And I'm the youngest of 3 boys, so in my growing up, I was right there by my side, like, mama's boy, but it was also like, hey, we have to do this at church. Hey, you have to sing. I had to sing in the choir with the worst voice ever, and I thought I was like Kurt Franklin or somebody. Yeah, yeah. Had the book out. I'm trying to lead the choir, but yeah, my mom, she instilled us. But I also seen miracles too. I don't think I couldn't sit right here and act like I haven't seen the work of God. So who am I to pray to if I've seen him do work. I've seen him put food on our table when there was $0 in the account, right?
Yes.
As an entrepreneur, I've seen one day I may have depleted my account and I get an order for 8 shirts, right? Life changing overnight. So for me, that's why I keep going back to that faith in Jesus, because there's no other way that I'm operating in this world without him. And praying, my mom prays every day, all day. She hums, she sings. I can hear her in the store when I'm by myself, just humming in my ears. So just the upbringing of my mom being so faith-based, and I love that lady to death. And she pretty instilled praying into to all of us.
That sounds like legacy. I mean,
Man, I was going there.
yeah.
In my head, I was thinking about we've had several people come on the podcast both seasons that have talked about legacy and the
Right.
importance of, it's not necessarily what God is just giving us or doing through us, but what the fingerprint, the imprint that it's going to make on those that we're connected to, be it your family or even the kids
Kids,
or your customers, right? That you
Absolutely.
serve. So, like, talk to us about what you love. Like, maybe there's a moment,
Right.
but what you love about any or all of the aspects of work that you do.
So I think the biggest joy that I get is, like you said, it's I don't have to stand here with a shirt that say I love Jesus on it, right? And we can biblically we are the church, and that's for elder people, that's for young people. So a recent moment that I had, I just started coaching girls track. Well, I coach for all of it, but mostly with the girls, and I was just talking to them, and I was just telling them, like, y'all got this. The fear was setting in. We're running against schools. We don't have a track at our school, so we're running against schools that have tracks and things of that nature. And I was talking to them, and in mid conversation, the girls said, "Let us pray." Like, they just started praying, and to catch that moment, like, and I sent it to their parents. Like, I got it on photo, but just to catch that moment, to know that they have it instilled in them, but they can fall on that as well too, right? So every day I just live to the fullest of God. I just want to be a radiant of light, and every day is a get to day, right? I get to experience these days, no matter what my bank account looks like, no matter what I'm going through. If I open my eyes, I'm gonna squeeze the life out of every 24 hours of that day. So that's been big, And then with the oatmeal and my clothing line, to see, I was in a mall. It's crazy. We started this brand 2018. I was in a mall, and no, I was in a Target. Well, correction. And I see an Indian guy walk in with my shirt on. And, when you start a business, you try to keep up with it. I'm sure you try to say, "Oh, you bought this, you bought this." You try to, but after a while, you
Yep.
lose control.
Right.
But I know for a fact I haven't sold this guy a shirt, and he has on one of the original shirts. And I was just at awe that this legacy is still living, that I started in 2018, from me going through a health journey, from me relying on God, from me bringing myself up into a healthy spot. And it's just been gratifying that it's still, so many businesses, they lose fire, but my business was built on my beliefs and built on God without, like I said, it doesn't have to be washed with I'm this, I'm this, I'm that. It's just a lifestyle.
So talk to us a little bit. You just mentioned your journey. And anybody who follows Sullivan, you're going to see that there's a journey,
Yeah,
a physical outward
yeah,
journey, but I know that there was a spiritual journey
absolutely.
that coupled or walked
Yeah,
alongside.
yeah.
Talk to us about how God shows up and tell that story of how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, so 2015, I was 25 years old. First, I had my first son. I think he was about 9 months at this point. Not quite one yet. Um, and I was chasing the money instead of. So I always say I was chasing money instead of the opportunity, right? I got in this rat race of, like, work these many jobs, and it sounds like I work a lot, but I have a great life right now. I mean, even though everything I do, I have a great life right now. I'm not working as hard as I was, so, but I was just chasing the money, and I just let my health go. I wasn't going to the doctor. I wasn't eating right. I was just trying to get it, trying to make it happen, and then I, went to the doctor. Ironically, I went to donate blood at a plasma center, right? A lot of people won't talk about this, but I went to donate blood at a plasma center for me and my wife's 1 year anniversary. She wanted to go to Red Lobster. We just had a baby, just moved out of our apartment, so finance was low. And I was like, I'm gonna do it one time, take it out to eat, we good. You know what I mean? I went back and I was like, all right, $50, I can get another 50, right? They told me that I couldn't donate blood. So I'm thinking the absolute worst. Like,
Right.
I got something, you know what I mean? And how did I get something, right? But um, it was it was light, but pretty much what it came down to is I was pre-diabetic at 25, and that rocked my world. I'm watching my friends graduate college. I'm watching them travel, and I'm just in the rat race of showing up, clocking in 7. I was working at a payday loan place, so I'm working 7 to 8 every day, 7 to 8, 7 to 8. And that jump started my journey. And I failed. Like I failed. I've seen 300 pounds almost 3 times in my body. Right. Lost the weight, got married. My wife got pregnant, gained the weight back, lost it again. So when they told me that, I was like, oh yeah, we gotta get serious. We gotta get real serious. So I tried to not eat. It's not gonna work, you know. But when I had to really establish a relationship with food,
Yeah.
food versus mental, right? So I was a stress eater. So all of the stress that I was having, I lost that job too 8 years ago. So we know biblically the story of the number 8. So 8 years ago, I lost a job. 8 years later, I lost another job.
Hmm.
But so I lost a job, and I was forced to go into a place, and this, it's almost like David in the Lion's Den, or Paul coming to Saul. I went from working customer service to working in a factory that I never worked. I never worked in a factory.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to work.
Yeah.
Third shift, making a substantially less than what I was. The second day I worked, I called out. I was like, I can't do this, man. Like, I like talking to people. I like being around people, and this is like prison, right? You are on the line, and you can't talk. When you go to break, you gotta be. It's like, and I'm watching these guys like devote their life to a lifestyle that they didn't understand that they had leverage. And I would tell them all the time, like, they can't talk to you like that. This is illegal. Because I came from being a manager. But, through that time, I was still having those issues of mental health and anxiety. So I was working at Volkswagen, and I would eat like a sandwich and applesauce, and that's it for the day. Work 10 hours, right? And I was sick as a dog. I was depriving myself. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror like, you 25, man. There's a better life than this. From that day forward, it was like, all right, establish a healthy relationship with food. I established, all right, I'm gonna eat this, this, and this. I'm gonna introduce this back into my life. It's gonna be okay. You eat. And I saw like a shift just by saying to myself, I can do it, right? My wife got involved. She was like, you gotta eat, you gotta do this. And 7 months later, I got blessed with a job in the health industry. Didn't even know that 8 years removed from that I would be promoting health. I'd be running, and I'll be at the best shape of my life. So that was my moment where I had to sit in there and really say, and I know we're going to get to this question, but consider it all joy. Before I even knew about the Bible, like I grew up in church, but I couldn't quote Bible verses. But every day I went in there, I was like, you know what? How can I make this comfortable for me? So I would get to work, and I love tennis shoes. So I would go through my closet and pick out the fresh tennis shoes for the day, and I would wear them to work. And then I would change into my boots. But every time I went on lunch, I can see those tennis shoes, right? I started building relationships, and I started showing the younger people that work there, like, y'all got leverage. Don't come in here and this is just a moment, like, to build your resume.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck here. Look around. You got guys 50, they waiting to retire just so they can get out of here. So, building those relationships with the younger guys, facing adversity too. I didn't even apply for one job. They just stuck me over there. Then the whole plant just switched on me because it was like they thought that I was better than them. I was like, I'd rather be here moving brake systems with y'all than doing what I'm doing. But I had to go through that as well too. And then when I finally got that other job in the health industry, my manager was like, "You short time." I was like, "How am I short time?" She's like, "Well, you quitting." I was like, "Well, most people don't make it past lunch their first day." I did my 7 months, and it was gratifying. And then it was a moment that I needed, that I had to trust God as well too. They took my bonus. I gave them a month notice, and I was looking forward to this bonus because, again, I'm behind. They took my bonus, and I think it cost me like $200 or $400. I can't remember the number. However, when I started at my next job, they prorated us a paycheck. It's supposed to be a week. They paid me for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Look at God. That's miracles. I never had to struggle, never had to worry. It's not all easy, but I relied on God and had faith in it. He's taken care of me since then.
Thank you for sharing about all the journey emotionally, spiritually, with your health. One of the things I just loved hearing in your story was, no matter where God has you for work, you were finding ways to use the giftings He have,
Yeah.
and those were around people, right?
Absolutely.
So you even talk about working the line.
Yeah.
what you just told me, the thing that brought you joy was the way you were able to pour into the people you
Mhm.
got to work with. I think that points to who Jesus was, that you saw those next to you, and
Right,
it
right.
wasn't just about
Mhm.
surviving the day,
Yeah,
but you were finding ways to thrive, even with the shoes. Like
yeah,
that was a way for you to thrive and to show up with joy.
yeah. I always tell people God didn't bless me to be 6'3", 210, a massive athlete, but He gave me the gift of like energizing people. You know, that was my biggest gift that He gave me. Even as a kid, like I always could keep people laughing and funny. Sometimes I use it in the wrong way, but I realized that at a young age that I can move people and work a room in a way that's like gratifying. You know, not just trying to get something from it. Like I go home full, my cup is full. If I'm in a room full of people, like creative mornings, I'm good to go for a long time. So that was my gift, and that's what I've been living on.
So what other than just the energy of being around other people or being able to pour into other people, where do you draw that motivation from every day? Because like I know, sometimes we can get really what I call really spiritual, really churchy,
Yeah.
and we're like, listen, I love Jesus, I love the Lord. I woke up today,
Right.
I went into a space, everybody wasn't friendly, the situation wasn't ideal. So I have to bring something with me. What is that something that
That,
motivates you?
yeah, that's a great question because sometimes I sit around, I'm like, dang, do I not complain enough? You know what I mean? Like I go in these spaces and it's just like complaint, complaint, complaint. But then it's like, oh, what drives me every day is just, again, it's just the miracles. Like, you know, I'm in a month I'll be 35. Those causes are already laid out for me to not be here,
Yeah.
right? So I take that in consideration when I turn 18. I cried when I turned 18, 25, and 30. 30 was pandemic. So I look at it, by the time pandemic hit, I had lost 150 pounds.
Wow.
I have so much joy because I know for a fact if I was 340 pounds in the pandemic or 320, I wouldn't even be on this podcast right now. So I have those mental notes in my head every day that push me to be great every day. I wake up and, like I said, I'm gonna squeeze every 24 hours. Then I have my kids watching me. My son is 11, so he's at the age he's asking questions like, "Why are you so happy? Why do you go so?" And I'm asking him questions. Do you think I'm going too much? What can I do to be a better dad? I'm asking my daughter those same questions. She's 8, so she's still kind of figuring it out. But just understanding what I came through. I grew up without a dad. I've never been in jail. I've never done drugs, and I have a great quality of life. I have no reason to complain. I have absolutely no reason. So that's my why. And to see the kids, like, I grew up in an era where kids were like just pushed to the side. Oh, he knuckleheads. And even when I got to the age of like I can enjoy some things like a party or, oh, it's 30 and up. You know what I mean? So you took a whole generation and you just forgot about them, right?
Mm.
Then they had kids. Then they raised the kids to be like, no, we don't need nobody because nobody gave us anything. But I don't want the kids to think that. I want kids to think that we owe y'all the opportunity to speak, right? And we all probably grew up in the "cause I said so" era. Like,
Oh,
let
for
me
sure.
teach you how to do it respectfully though, but you have a voice, right? So I tell my kids, is an unvalid response.
Yeah.
There's kids that can't even speak, and you want to like, no, answer me, talk to me, so just things like that that drives me every day. And the kids, like the aha moments with the kids, like I never even thought about it like that. Or how do you just show up so happy every day? And then I get to go into my store with them. I get to share that this is not a finished product. Like this took a lot of work to get like this. And I have my moments too. I still have my moments of doubt, and I just run now. But like before then, it's like, how do you figure this out? You just gotta rely on what you know. God and gospel music.
That's good. You know, I think sometimes we try to equate joy and being happy.
Yeah, it's two different things.
I
Two
think they're
different
two
things.
very different things. Like you're not using the word "I'm always happy."
Yeah,
You're talking about joy,
choice.
and joy is coming from, that's why that verse you mentioned, "Consider it joy, my brothers, when you face
It's
trials,"
abundant.
and it's abundant.
Yep.
It shows up in spite of hard things
That's right.
because
Yeah.
it's based in hope,
Yeah.
and happiness is based in feelings and
Yeah.
experiences, right? Um, as you think, I think one thing is we talk about legacy and what you talk about with your mom. I'd love to know, like, what do you hope for your kids? What do you hope they see in you? Because it's more than just you putting the TV on with the
Yeah.
pastor.
Right, right,
What do
right.
you hope they see in you that you want them to grow into?
The best thing has happened this year. Right, we were going to a church during the pandemic, and they loved it. But the pandemic has shook everything. Right. But this year, as a family, we started going to the church, and they go to children's church. It's not like you come to church, you can sleep on the pulpit while we listen to the word. They go to children's church, and just to see, I'm gonna use joy a lot in this, like just to see the joy. My daughter, oh, y'all staying home? Call somebody come get me. Right? She wants to go, or if I had a catering this Sunday, she went to church by herself. Just to see them being excited. My son, he went in like maybe the third week he was at church. He was sing. My son has an amazing voice. He just doesn't understand that it's cool to sing yet. He ain't sing. He like rap, but it's like it's cool to sing as a man. Like, but he was singing those gospel songs. Like, where does he hear those songs at? I play it in the car every morning. I've switched my whole channel of what I listen to. I still like rap, but I need a little more before I get to work. I need a little more substance. So I hope, my hope is that they have the same joy and love towards God, even though they haven't experienced the hurt yet, right? That they can always lean on that, and I do that by having them in church, talking to them when they make they make bad decisions. Sometimes I'm disappointed, but it's also like I know who you are capable of, and just uplift them as well too. And I think it's just legacy, like I talked about. My mom played that gospel music every day. I'm playing Pastor Mitchell and gospel in Maverick City religiously. And it helps out. Like one of the cars I drive don't have a radio, so y'all gotta listen to whatever I'm playing, on my phone right now. So just showing them and sharing them the moments of highs and lows too. Like my daughter's scared of thunderstorm and rain. But my daughter got to see the difference of like a May shower, or like, they call it like a May shower, spring shower. Dad, it was just thundering and now the sun's out. It's like, that's God. Like, pay attention. So you don't have to be frightened. It's okay to be scared because you don't know what's going to happen. Trees fall, tornadoes were in this area, but you've got to see the work of God at 8 years old. Now your eyes are open and she understands that. So that's the biggest thing for me, that they continue. But we have to set the standard as parents. So I'm going to continue to do that as well, too.
As a daughter, I think that is probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard
Yep.
from a father. To hear a dad tell their daughter, "Look at the storm. The
Yep.
rain is coming, but God can bring rain in so many forms.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's raining, but the sun is
It's out.
right.
Right.
The comfort to even hear that from a father
Man.
mimics
Yeah.
the father itself. Right? The
Absolutely.
father himself to letting us know storms will come,
Yeah.
right? But I'm here,
Yeah.
and I got you.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I want to hear about the fashionate stuff that you do, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming clothes have meant a lot to you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So talk to me about what nice clothes means for you and what you're hoping those that are buying into your brand, what you're hoping for them.
So we can talk about being the youngest of three boys on a single parent income.
Yeah.
My mom didn't work since 2004. So I was blessed to have my brothers. They started working by the time I was in 8th, 9th grade. So they took care of me a lot. And the neighborhood too. So my mama would have 30 boys in the house, 20 to 30 boys in the house. The whole neighborhood would be there. So that was the one thing that made me different though. I went to a school where we had a dress code, and even though we had a dress code, I would put a sweater vest over my polo, or I would wear some crazy funky socks or something like that. And it's the Dion approach, to look good, play good too, right? So I just got into fashion. My first job out of high school, I worked in a shoe store, working retail, selling shoes, and I love shoes. I mean, all types, dress shoes, loafers. I haven't gotten into sandals yet.
He knows.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
some
Yeah.
retail therapy.
Yeah. So that played a huge part of it, because and that was also one thing that correlated with weight loss, right?
Yeah.
So I had to dress up, being heavy, being overweight,
Yeah.
because that was the only thing I had. Like I had dreads, long dreads down my back, just like yours, and when my son was born, I cut him off. I was like, I just want something new. Like, I'm tired of working retail. Let me just try to do something new. And I wanted a fro, and my barber cut it to my scalp. So I had to really figure out, and I was 320 pounds. So I'm just like, who is this guy? Like, we was working out, and one of my homeboys said, you don't even look intimidating anymore. So I had to like really figure out what image I was gonna possess. But I would measure my weight loss by the belt that I was wearing, the notches in the belt, being able to wear a certain shirt that I probably couldn't wear, or something that I bought years ago. So I keep a lot of my clothes as well too, just to say like you're gonna get back one day, and I actually have gotten back into them. So but I just love fashion, man. I just think it's a confidence builder. How you walk out the house, and that's one thing that I express to the kids. Like they have a carefree life, but I'm just expressing to them like, if you dress for your day, right? And that's just corporate talking. Dress for your day, it'll be a whole lot better.
Yeah.
So if I wear slides every day, I'm gonna be comfy all day. But if I got on, like today is Tuesday, I do a tie Tuesday at school, and I may be the only person wearing a tie in the school.
Yeah.
Everybody else got on Crocs and whatever they got on, t-shirts, hoodies. But I just want to set the standard of like, you can dress for your day and you feel a whole lot better. Like you feel it when I put clothes on, and pandemic hit, everybody was just in whatever they wanted to wear.
Yeah.
I got dressed up every day and sat in front of my computer and did Zooms. You know, I would wear on Friday when we worked in the office. I would wear a tie on a Friday. Everybody dressed down, relaxed, but it just means so much to me to stand out. And it's not cocky. It's not by any means. It's not cocky. I just have great confidence in myself, and I use clothes to differentiate who I am. I stand out. So going back to dress code, like I'm gonna have on I may have on a tie. I may have on a bow tie. That was my signature thing for a while, wearing bow ties. And my hair's gonna be nappy, but I'm gonna have a fresh outfit on. It's gonna be all right. So that's fashion has been a real big motivator. One of my icons, Andre 3000, just careless living, right? Dressing how he wants to, moving with stoicism, the stoic way, and just at this age now, he said, "What am I rapping about? I've lived a good life. What am I rapping about? I can go play a horn now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I can play a horn now." So, yeah. So, and then I wanted to give people something affordable that meant something to them. I would get stopped in the Walmart, like, "You that guy that was on the news. I love your brand. I love this, and that." And, even to some people, $80 is a lot. Some people, $30 is a lot. So that's why I even created the wristband. $3 for a wristband. That's something that you can have. Just coffee mugs, just branding. I realized soon that everything I was doing was becoming a brand. I wasn't trying to force it to be one. Take that back. I started at forcing it.
Yeah.
Closed down the Instagram page because it was a forced everyday thing, and I started living it, and it happened organically. So, yeah, fashion is everything for me. My shoes are crazy. My socks are crazy right now. And I also use it as a way to support other locals as well too. So even the hat I'm wearing right now, it's a good friend of mine. He's starting a weightlifting brand, and it stands for "Did you earn today?" Right? Everything correlates back to what are you gonna do with your 24 hours.
Yeah.
So I use fashion to support other local entrepreneurs, local Chattanooga, but local global as well too, and to use my platform to give them a light as well.
Be the brand. I often tell people that we are brand ambassadors for Jesus.
That's it.
So what are you like? What is it that you're promoting? Everything that you said since you opened your mouth, from being a father, being a husband. Well, let's go because
We haven't talked about that. Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
as a wife, I have to say this.
Yeah.
And shout out to your wife, right? But the plasma selling sacrifice.
Yeah.
Year one?
Year one.
Year one
Yep.
anniversary Red Lobster dinner
Yep.
speaks to the character of the man
Yeah.
that you are, right?
Huh.
And so you see that kind of sacrifice and promotion of what's the most important for you through everything.
Mhm.
Creating a brand, weight loss journey, having an oatmeal experience, transitioning to catering from the food truck, speaking into the lives of these kids. As a former Normal Park parent,
Mm.
I want to say
Come
thank
on.
you.
Yes, man. Thank you.
So-
Listen, you're welcome. I love it, and that's even like with the kids, with being a husband. I'm not a perfect husband. You know what I mean? I'm not perfect, period. But like teaching these young ladies how to be respected.
Yes.
Because, and I have a daughter, so it's like, and I tell all the young ladies I get to encounter on the daily, like, "Oh, look, wait, y'all is my nieces." And that's Hispanic, white, black.
Yeah.
I want to care for y'all just like y'all. My daughters are my nieces. And this is how you should be treated. I don't let them touch doors. I call them by their last names in most cases, so they can get that in their head that they're not gonna call you by your nickname all the time. They're gonna call you and respect you by that last name. And teaching the young men too. So when I have young men in the same room as women, like, let's get the door, let's get this, let's get that. Let's serve each other. Like, I think in a nutshell, serving is what it's all about. And that's serving as a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a teacher, as a student. How can we serve each other? And that's one thing that I push on those kids and show them that you have to serve to, and you reap what you sow. You do it with good energy. You do it in good faith. I don't want to hand you this cup just because I know I get to take it home. I want to hand you the cup because I know you're thirsty. And you didn't have to ask me. I just seen, hey, you want some water? So serving has been a big thing as well.
3 words that kind of pop in my head from our conversation is legacy is really important. Living in joy,
Yep.
and then serving others.
Absolutely.
And I think about all the vocations you have, right? The things, they're based out of your story,
Right.
of who you are, what made you who you are. They're based out of your passions that give you joy, whether that's health, your health journey, fashion, serving others. And then those things that give you joy is led you to say, I'm doing this for the sake of giving it to others.
Yes,
That's right.
Right.
absolutely.
And it's been a journey too. You talked at the beginning about you were chasing the money. And what I'm finding in your journey is actually, as God's gotten more and more in your life, it's been about serving others.
Yep.
And God's provided,
Less is more.
right? He's provided.
He's done more. He's done more with the less that I've had. He's done so much more, and it's unreal to me to go through it and look back like at 35 of the journey that I've had. But he's done so much, and I've learned to live. All right, I don't have much, but I got God, so we gonna make it happen for the day. And then just continue to carry it on. Like, we can be here all night talking about the miracles. I done seen it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, if you're listening on this, sometimes we have guests on here and you might know people around town that they've had the same vocation, the same exact job their whole career. But Sully, thank you for sharing your story, because your story is not unique to Sully. Like, sometimes the Lord calls us to lots and lots of different things that pay the bills. But I just would encourage people listening, because what I'm hearing from you is there's a theme in all that you've done. You're using the gifts God's given you wherever He puts you to be.
It's an opportunity.
So if you're listening on this, what are the gifts God's given you that no matter where you're called to serve, whether it's for 8 months, 8 years, that you can do it, whether you're getting that paycheck or you're in that season in between jobs, how can you use the gifts God's given you to serve others in light of what Christ has already done for us? So thank you for sharing your journey with us, man. What a cool thing to hear God's testimony in your life through your mom and others in your life.
That's big. I'm nothing without him. I'm nothing without him, honestly. So
thanks, man. Man, Sully, what a great guy.
Listen, I had to hold back the tears. I didn't do very well.
I mean, his story is one. I was just such a. I kept thinking of God's faithfulness.
Yes.
Like, God continued to be faithful, whether it was in a dream job, a job he was surviving, a layoff. The Lord just kept showing up in his life, and it was just really neat to see how throughout all of that, he was learning about who he was and what it meant for him to give back to others.
Yeah, I love the fact. I think one of the first things that pricked my heart was his passion for who he is around. So his family, the kids he served, his customers. He wanted to be that light. He said, he wanted to radiate this light and show up with joy. He said he didn't think he complained enough, right? Because people are like, you're always so happy. But he's like, how can I not be? With every day I'm getting another opportunity to build on the goodness and the greatness of God.
Yeah, what a great reminder that our joy doesn't come from experience or feeling good. It comes from where our hope is found.
That's right.
And man, Sully, what a great example of that. And I got to pick up some of his gear.
Hey, listen, what did he say? Never accept less.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about that in terms of relationships.
Yes.
In terms of friendships.
Yes.
In terms of how we show up for God. Like, I don't expect anything less than the great. I'm a king's kid.
Yeah.
And so I'm never accepting anything less than that.
Man. What a great testimony for what it means to live no matter where God has you, with faithfulness and with trust. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Sully Sullivan. Stay tuned for more episodes from the Weekday Saints podcast.